For those who don't know, cheese is a dairy product produced by coagulating the milk protein casein and is made in different flavors, textures, and forms. It's produced from the milk of goats, cows, sheep, or buffalo. And there are over 1,000 different kinds of cheese produced in different countries around the world. Cheese is highly valued in the world today thanks to its long shelf life, convenience, and high content of nutrients like protein, fat, phosphorus, and calcium. Cheese is very compact and has a shelf life much longer than milk, even though how long a cheese will last depends on the variety of cheese. Most cheeses are made in factories, which means that a large amount of milk is acquired, considering that it is the base of the dairy product. Cow milk is often used due to the easy availability of the milk and its optimal amount of fat and protein. However, the presence of usable milks like sheep, goat, and buffalo milk has increased the diversity of cheese and the cheese-making process even more. The cheese-making process usually starts with processing the milk. This involves standardizing the milk by manipulating the protein-to-fat ratio and pasteurizing the milk to kill microbes that cause spoilage and prime the milk for starter cultures. The next required step in cheese making involves separating the milk into solid curds received from coagulation, the milk and liquid whey received after the milk has been curdled. This is achieved by acidifying the milk using starter culture, which converts the lactose to lactic acid and adding the enzyme rennet to curdle the milk. This starter culture or starter bacteria could be from the Lactobacillus, Lactococcus, or Streptococcus genera, and the bacteria used or enzyme produced significantly affects the final flavor of aged cheeses. Rennet hardens cheese into a sturdy and rubbery gel compared to the brittle curds made by acidic coagulation alone. It also lets the milk curdle at a lower acidity, which is quite important because flavor-making microbes are inhibited in environments with high acidity. In general, fresher, smaller, softer cheeses are curdled with a larger proportion of acid to rennet than longer-aged, larger, harder varieties. In the olden days, rennet was harvested from the inner mucosa of the fourth stomach chamber of young, unweaned calves. However, thanks to modern-day science and technology, the rennet used in the cheese-making process is produced recombinantly by teaching bacteria and yeast to make the enzyme. After the curdling process, the cheese usually sets into a moist, soft gel. At this point, some softer cheeses are complete, and they are drained, salted, and packaged. It is a bit different for other cheeses, as the curd has to be cut into small cubes to allow water to drain through it. Some harder cheeses are also heated to temperatures of 35 to 55 degrees Celsius, 95 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit, which forces more whey out of the cut curd. This heating changes the taste of the cheese, as it affects both the milk chemistry and the bacteria culture. Salt is also necessary for cheese making as it adds flavor, removes moisture from the curd, and hardens the cheese's texture as it interacts with its proteins. Apart from the heating and salting, other techniques influence the cheese's taste and texture. These include stretching, which involves stretching and kneading the curd in hot water and is how mozzarella cheese is made. There is also cheddaring, where the cut curd is repeatedly piled up to push more moisture out of it, a process that is very vital to the creation of cheddar cheese and other English cheeses. Another technique used is washing, where the cheese is washed with warm water to reduce its acidity, giving rise to milder tasting cheeses like Gouda cheese. While the cheese-making process gives rise to great pieces of cheese, these new cheeses are usually salty but bland in flavor, and with the rubbery texture for harder varieties of cheese. Sometimes, these cheese varieties are enjoyed. However, at other times, these cheeses are left to rest in controlled conditions, in a process called cheese ripening. This aging period could last a few days to many years. and with increasing time, the bacteria and enzymes produced by them help transform the cheese's texture and the intensity of its flavor. Some of these cheeses have new bacteria deliberately introduced before or during the ripening process. Traditionally, this was done thanks to the microbes in the aging room, which were allowed to settle and grow on the cheese. However, thanks to modern science, prepared bacteria cultures are used, providing a more consistent result while putting less constraints on the environment where the cheese ages. Some of the cheeses that undergo this process include brie cheese, camembert cheese, Roquefort cheese, Stilton cheese, Gorgonzola cheese, and Limburger cheese. That said, there are various types of cheeses in the world today, with over 500 variants being recognized by the International Dairy Federation. They differ based on the animal milk, aging time, texture, fat content, country or region of origin, etc., with these factors being used alone or in combination.